Greetings and salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be giving some book recommendations for romances that have cinnamon roll heroes. Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome or welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Trope Week and Vlogmas. If you guys didn't know, I am participating in Vlogmas, and the first week is something I call Trope Week. In this series a few times on my channel, so I will link the playlist down below. But basically, for an entire week, I pick one specific romance book trope, and I give you guys a bunch of book recommendations for it. I've done all types of videos like friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, poly romances, etc, etc. I feel like this intro always sounds the same, so I'm just gonna kind of breeze past it and leave the playlist down below. I'm going to be talking about romances where the hero is a complete cinnamon roll. We love it. I love soft romances, and something about a cinnamon roll hero, or even like a beta hero, just makes my heart so happy. I love, you know, our rough and tough alpha possessive heroes, yes ma'am, but there's just something like so heartwarming about a cinnamon roll hero. Basically, a cinnamon roll is a hero in a romance book who is just soft and sweet and not really possessive, the complete opposite of like an alpha hero. We're gonna be talking about some awesome recs today, and I'm just gonna hop right in because I have quite a few books to talk about. The very first book that I want to talk about is Let Me Find Your Omega by Ash Moon. The book does have Omegaverse and Mpreg in it. I just did a book recommendation yesterday on Omegaverse, so if you guys want to know more about that universe and what exactly it is, I will leave that video down below. But this is a fourth book in a series. It's the Moonstar Dating Agency series. You do not have to read it in order, and this is a very low angst, sweet Omegaverse series. This book follows Marcos and Cole, and it is a single dad romance. Marcos is a single dad. He has a young daughter that he takes care of. He's also a chef and just recently moves into town because he opens up a restaurant. His daughter is very talented and very smart, and she just recently is getting into divination and fated mates. This world, it is a shifter romance, so there are people who do readings and can tell the future on like the person's wolf energy and tell their fated mates, and his daughter is really into that because their neighbor Cole is a divination agent. This whole series follows this one agency and has a fated mates trope. Cole is like a side character in all of the books, but like I said, you don't have to read them in order, and this is his own happily ever after, and it is just so stinking cute. So he does read people's future and helps them find their fated mates, but he has taken kind of like a vow of celibacy. He's convinced that he doesn't have his own fated mate, and in order to keep his powers, he cannot fall in love and he can't mate, but he is just like super interested and attracted to this new alpha that moved into town, Marcos, our single dad, and he's also so in love with his daughter, and it's honestly, it is such like the sweetest romance. Both of our heroes, this is a male-male romance, both of our heroes are cinnamon rolls. Like both of them. Our alpha hero is the softest alpha hero I've ever seen. He's so sweet. He takes such good care of his daughter, and like if that's not a cinnamon roll, I don't know what is. And then Cole is kind of like a nerdy hero. He's really nerdy and dorky and like quirky and clumsy and just like the cutest. So I absolutely love this one. If you're looking for like a shifter romance that's more fluffy and low angst, then you will definitely like this one. I have two historical romances to talk about. I feel like the cinnamon roll hero isn't that popular in historical romances. They tend to be more alpha, but I have two to talk about. So the first one is Spitfire by Christy Caldwell. I talk about this book so much on my channel, so I apologize, but I love it. I can't help it. This is the last book in the Wicked Wallflower series, but it can be read as a standalone. Our heroine, Clara, is a lady of the night, if you will. She ends up meeting our hero Henry in the streets of London because he is being jumped by a group of guys, and she actually ends up saving him and nursing him back to health. They end up parting ways afterwards, but they do meet again because our hero Henry is a part of Parliament. He is a duke, and he accidentally sends her a cease and desist letter to close down her opera house. It's like a new business for her, and she's real pissed real pissed that he is trying to shut it down. He doesn't know that it's her. He doesn't know that it's her business. It's a very spicy, opinionated, independent heroine, but he is a little bit more of a beta hero in my opinion. Just really soft-spoken, and he listens to her, and he's willing to give up a lot of his status in Parliament to help her grow her business, which I just think is so sweet in this book. He's also a virgin saving himself for marriage, and if that's not a cinnamon roll, then I don't know what is. Usually in romance books, it's the man that's more experienced than the woman, but in this book, it is the opposite, and he is fantastic. I love him. Next one that I want to talk about is a historical romance novella, and that is Trouble and Strife by Laura Kinsey. This is available on Kindle Unlimited, and it's a pretty short novella. It's the second book in the Chances Unlimited series. The book follows a chance brother. His name is Sydney. They basically kind of own, I don't want to call it a gang because it's not really a gang, but they're basically like leaders in the underground of London. His brother owns like an empire of horses and trade and just like a bunch of things, and his brother is like the smart one, but he's known more so as the enforcer. Meeting our heroine Elizabeth in a bake shop, and is just like instantly drawn to her. This does have a curvy heroine, and our heroine also has some type of chronic illness, chronic pain that she goes through. It's not really like on page described what she has, but it does make it uncomfortable to have intimate relationships with people, and she's never had anyone that's really cared for her or taken care of her. And Sydney really is just that guy. He is a little bit more of a submissive hero, and he is totally enamored by our heroine. And yeah, I totally love this one. The way he treats her is just really sweet. Okay, next up. I have a theory. That every hero in a romance book named Josh is a cinnamon roll. That's my theory. That's my theory. I'm about to talk about 3 books where all of the heroes' names are Josh, and they're all freaking cinnamon roll heroes. And I feel like if I think harder about it, I probably can think of some more. I don't know if it's a really common name or if that name just exudes cinnamon roll energy, but I don't make the rules, I just make the observations. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is After the Fairy Tale by Terrence Gray. This is an Audible original, and it is an amazing audiobook. This is a full cast audiobook. Follows our heroine Amanda. She just recently went on like a bachelorette type of show, bachelor type of show, if you're familiar with that franchise. It's basically like a dating show, and this book is a spin off of that. So she was one of the contestants on that show, and she has to kind of go in hiding as the show airs so that there's no spoilers. They film in advance and then they air the show. They want to make sure that nobody knows who the guy ends up with. So she ends up going back to her small hometown and has to lay low for a while. And this does have a love triangle. It's a love triangle between the guy that she falls in love with on the show and then the guy that she sees in her hometown that was kind of like her high school sweetheart. She ends up reconnecting with her high school sweetheart Josh. He owns a bakery, and he's just the sweetest cinnamon roll ever. I don't want to do any spoilers because this is honestly such a short audiobook. It's like 3-4 hours, so you can fly through it. So the next Josh that I want to talk about is Josh from Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. I love this book. I know it's so popular, but I feel like it's popular for good reason, okay? So basically, this is a friends to lovers romance. Josh and Hazel knew each other in high school, but they end up reconnecting because Hazel is a teacher and she works with Josh's sister. When Hazel meets Josh again, she is just like determined that they're going to be the best of friends, and that's exactly what they are. It has a very slow burn friends to lovers romance. They end up deciding that they're going to set each other up on these random dates, like these random blind dates. So the book is like a series of them trying to set each other up, but then finally realizing they have feelings for each other. Josh is so sweet, the way he treats his sister and his family, and also Hazel. Hazel is a little bit more of a quirky character, and her entire life she's dated guys that have wanted to change her or kind of wanted to like dim her light, but Josh loves her for exactly the way she is and encourages to be her like true authentic self. And if that's not cinnamon roll energy, I don't know what is. I love him. He's great. Hazel's great. Probably one of my favorite romance books. This was like one of those romance books that made me fall in love with the genre, and I just am so happy that I read it. I highly recommend it. I know it's popular. I know everyone talks about this book. but it's so good. I promise you, it's so good. The last Josh I want to talk about is Let It Snow by Casey Cross. I talked about this one in my Christmas romance recommendations. It is another friends to lovers romance. Characters Amy and Josh are childhood friends. They grow up together. Their families were always around each other. They go off to college with one another. But Josh decides that he is ready to go back to his hometown, and they're going to be separated for like the very first time in so long. It is the holiday season, so they decide to kind of take this massive road trip back home and spend some time with one another. It's kind of like their last hurrah before they're separated, and they end up falling for each other. And this is really such a heartwarming Christmas novella. It's the perfect balance of being sweet and steamy, and there's all types of Christmas vibes, like building snowmen and getting snowed in, and it's just really sweet. It's another one where our heroine feels like not a lot of people understand her and her personality, but our hero just adores her and totally gets her and supports her, and it's wonderful. I love this novella so much. And that concludes my little section of like heroes who are named Josh and are cinnamon rolls. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. It's just like a random observation. Maybe, like I said, it's just a really popular name. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is Three of Hearts by Lillian Lark. This is a paranormal poly romance. It follows a werewolf shifter, a demon, and a harpy. The book starts off with one of our heroes, Greg. He is a werewolf shifter, and he is in a relationship with Asa, who is a demon. Greg, our werewolf shifter, when he first met Asa, he was convinced that that was his fated mate, that they were destined to be together. But after a while of them being together, his werewolf is telling him that there is another fated mate out there for him. He's very confused. He doesn't really know what's going on until he finally meets our heroine, who is a harpy, and he has that same attraction and feeling that he has for her as he does for his boyfriend Asa. So he's really confused. He's never met anyone or any werewolf shifter that has had two fated mates navigating the relationship, but all three of them end up forming this polyamorous relationship, and it does have a surprise pregnancy. I will say that, just so you know that going in, but I think it was handled beautifully. It also has a little bit more of a mystery going on. This is a part of a series, but you can read it as a standalone. In this book, there is basically a company that is stealing paranormal creatures and selling them on the black market. Everyone is a harpy in this book, and there's someone in the book that is hunting harpies. So that's kind of like the mystery element. It's just super well written, and I love the way that our characters all just seamlessly fit together. Like, it's such a perfect blend. Our hero Asa, he's a demon shifter, and he's the more dominant one. And then our heroine Zephyr, I cannot pronounce that name, I'm so sorry. She is a little bit more of a submissive one. When it follows Greg, who I would describe as more of a switch, but I say that he is the cinnamon roll in the equation. He is just so like open about his affection, and he kind of reminds me of like a big old puppy dog. Like, he's this big werewolf shifter that is just so affectionate and so lovely. He's also a baker, and I like to say that he's a cinnamon roll that literally bakes cinnamon rolls. Like, he bakes his fated mate's breakfast, and it's just so sweet, and I love him, and this book is lovely. I actually forgot to include this one on the list, but as I was talking, I remembered it, so I just wanted to throw it in here. The next one that I want to talk about is Smitten by Lauren Rowe. This is another Friends to Lovers romance. I feel like Friends to Lovers just has all the cinnamon roll heroes. This is a rock star romance. So our hero, his name is Fish. That's a nickname. I actually don't remember what his real name is, but they call him Fish in the book. It makes sense. He's part of this really popular rock band, but he's kind of like the guy in the background. He is, I believe, the drummer of the band, and everyone is like obsessed with the lead singer, and the lead singer is like this sexy, amazing guy, and Fish has always been like the funny guy or the guy that everybody friend zones. He ends up meeting our heroine Alessandra at a party, and it's like this record label party. She's also a musician, and she's writing music, and the band that Fish is in is like her favorite band of all time. And they end up forming a friendship over their love of music, and slowly that develops into a relationship. Their relationship is pretty slow burn because it starts off as a long distance relationship, so you get to see so many sweet moments between the characters. I love this book. Our hero just adored our heroine. Like, he sent her so many freaking flowers in this book. Like, he was just so thoughtful, so romantic and sweet, and like literally would write love songs and sonnets about her. Like, what the heck? Like, so just adorable. And this book is a little bit inexperienced, and he really just wants to make like the first time special for our heroine. So he like goes to his friends for advice and does like everything he can to make sure our heroine feels special. And I just think he's like the epitome of a cinnamon roll. Bree from In 11 Words is the one who recommended this book to me. Although this is a standalone, it is like a side story to an existing series that Lauren Rowe writes. So if you like this book, there is another series that you can read that kind of combines it. Yeah? Okay. This one's a really great one. You should read it. And then the last one that I want to recommend is Blind Date with a Book Boyfriend by Lucy Eden. It follows our heroine Jordan, who is in town for a interview. Yeah, she's in town for an office interview, and she ends up stopping at a bookstore to look for some romance books, and that is where she meets our hero. He is a hero who reads romance and historical romance, and I love it. So he actually ends up meeting her because he's recommending some books that he thinks that she would like, and she is just immediately drawn to him, and after they talk at the bookshop, they end up spending the day together, and the entire novella like spans one day of them just falling for each other and going out on a bunch of dates, and it's really, really sweet. I love it. It's the perfect meet cute. Meeting a cute guy in the romance book section, yes please. That's like the perfect freaking meet cute. I love it. This book is great. All right, so those are all of the books I wanted to recommend that have cinnamon roll heroes. I could probably do a part 2 to this video because I just love soft romances, and I hope you do too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your recommendations down below. I will be continuing Trope Week tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're gonna be talking about BDSM romances, so like the total opposite of a cinnamon roll. So I hope to see you guys in tomorrow's video. As always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I'll see you next time. Bye!